Alright everyone, thank you for coming on this 12 Days of Christmas YouTube hop. It's for Scrapbooking with Me Boutique. And the technique I'm going to share with you today is called like smooching. Yeah, that's what we'll call it, smooching. We're going to smooch some color onto some watercolor paper. Alright, so what I did is I'm going to show you there's a couple of different ways. You can use like the clear plastic that comes on your stamps, or you're going to use the craft mat, which is what I'm going to show you right here. I have two done up watercolor sheets, one with black VersaFine ink covered with the clear embossing, and then one with clear embossing on the white watercolor paper. So right now I'm just putting down some of the tumbled glass distress ink from Tim Holtz. And that spray bottle right there, you can get it in the boutique. And this is the smooshing. We're just laying it down into the color ink, the watercolor paper, and picking up our color, you know, that way. Instead of using like a brush or a traditional method of applying the watercolor to your paper. And then as I'm going, I will be using the heat tool to dry it, and then sometimes I'll even put it down in the coloring again. It just depends on what I want to do. With that light one, I didn't feel a need to have to do it again. The second color is going to be Broken China. And once again, we're just laying it down right into the wet ink. And we're doing it, you know, trying to move the spots around. You want to create not necessarily a pattern, but you just want, you know, when you're looking at it, you'll see if you like a certain area, if it looks like it needs more color. And that's why you use the heat tool to dry off as much as you can, and then put it down into the ink or the wet spray to create depth. So once we're done drying this for a little bit, we're going to wipe it down again, the craft mat, and put down our third color. This one is Mermaid Lagoon, and we're going to spritz that with the water as well. Be careful, because sometimes if you spray too hard with that sprayer, the color does go a little further out. So I was trying to be a little careful there. And I'm just laying on the darkest color. And it really does give you like a really unique watercolor background. And by doing the embossing beforehand, you can start to see the images start to peek through the coloring as you layer and layer and layer. And you can do this with colors that go together, like, you know, I would just be careful if you know which ones will turn to like muddy colors or browns or, you know, anything yucky. Stay away from putting those together. But you can experiment with anything, you know what I mean? And who knows, the muddy might be what you want. Okay, so at the end, once I dried off the darker color, I decided to take the Color Bloom 2 spray. This is the Fairy Pond, and it's a fine shimmer spray. So I wanted this one so that way when you tilt it in the, you know, into different angles or look at it a different way, it'll have a slight shimmer to it, and it kind of gives darker areas kind of around. Now the best part is with the embossing, the inks, the sprays, they resist it because, you know, we've already embossed that area, so it's like it's protected. So I'm just adding more spray. I'm dabbing off in certain areas, trying to clean up as we go, and then I'll take the heat gun again to dry these areas. And you want to be careful, because the golden rule with embossing is you don't want to overheat the embossing. But I also want to try and get this dry. So if I feel like the heat tool is getting too hot on the outside, I will sometimes turn it over and like hit it from the back. And then I'll stop and try and lift some up with the tissue. And it's amazing. This was a completely white card. You guys couldn't see nothing on it. And in a short amount of time, with just adding layer upon layer of color, we create this really pretty background. Now, we're going to do the same exact thing with the black and the VersaFine, but we're going to use another technique. This, we're using the plastic sheet. We're going to put the ink on that, spray, and then put that on top of our piece. And some of the color does drip a little. I didn't mind that because when you lay it back down, you can kind of move the color around by just pressing on that clear sheet. And that particular color is so light, I just wanted to put some more on there and then press it down into the wet areas from the first go round. And then we're going to do the middle color again. Same exact thing. I went from light to medium color to the darkest. And we're just pressing down, moving it around. Sometimes I'll press it down on the whole thing and just move it with my fingers. And then when you take the plastic off, you can do what I'm doing there, which is tilting it. Sometimes I'll bang on a certain edge to kind of get droplets to come down. And you do whichever method works for you, whichever one you like best. If you like how the color makes the white or the clear embossing pop out, then do it that way. If you'd rather have it be more of a bold pattern, then use the black ink. It's all, you know, everything is up to you and what you're trying to create. I like it both ways, but I think my favorite is probably with the black VersaFine with the clear embossing powder on top of it. So that way no smudging and you can just be messy. That's the other thing I would say. If you're a person who does not like to be messy, you may not want to do this, because when I was done, my fingertips were all blue. But it was worth it. Alright, so we're just going to heat it up again. And that time I had some extra and it went onto the mat. So once I was drying, the little bit that was on the mat, I was still able to pick up using the same technique. So real quick, before we get done, we are having this 12 days of YouTube hop for Scrapbooking with Me Boutique. And down below in the comments, I will have a list of all of the ladies who are participating in the hop, and at the very end of the video I will also have what you need to do as far as liking the videos, if you have to make a comment, anything like that. And at the end of our 12-day hop, I will be doing a giveaway on my channel, so make sure you pay attention and stay to the very end. Alright, and then this is the finished card that I did. And all I did was put some clear droplets on all the centers of the snowflakes. But it was the same technique. And it's just, it amazes me how I did it 3 different times. And though it's very similar, you still get a different look. I love it. So, thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share. And make sure you stay to the very end, because like I said, we're going to have what you need to do as far as the hop. I know you're going to have to be a subscriber. You're going to have to like the videos, and you'll probably have to do that for everybody. I just want to make sure that at the very end you guys know all the steps, so there'll be one final screenshot that will tell you everything. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys with our next video.